Good evening, America. Welcome to the G-Off Desk. Tonight, we're facing a situation that many people never thought possible in our time. Federal agents might soon appear at the entrance of a former president's residence, armed with a legal order, prepared to take control of the estate he regards as his most prized possession. The idea that U.S. Marshals could approach the entrance of Mar-a-Lago to enforce an eviction or seizure stands out as one of the most remarkable events in the entire record of American law and politics. Authorities may be gearing up to force former President Trump to leave Mar-a-Lago because of outstanding court-ordered payments that remain unpaid. At the heart of this developing story is a vast oceanfront property in Palm Beach, Florida. For years, it has served as both an elegant personal home and the main center for Donald Trump's activities after his time in the White House. Information from legal sources and official court documents indicates that specific financial penalties from civil cases have stayed unresolved for quite some time. Once all appeals finish and any allowed delays run out without payment, the legal system allows stronger steps to collect what is owed. Here, the approach goes beyond typical debt recovery. It could include federal officers taking physical control of the location and requiring anyone inside to depart. If a judge approves seizure or removal to cover the amount, the U.S. Marshals Service, founded back in 1789 under the Judiciary Act and active ever since, carries the legal duty to carry out both civil and criminal directives from federal courts. Their responsibilities cover a broad list: detaining people listed in arrest warrants, moving inmates, safeguarding witnesses, overseeing seized property, and most relevant here, putting court judgments into effect when they demand the handover of real estate. If a court awards a money judgment and the responsible party does not pay, the judge can issue a writ of execution. That document instructs the marshals to find and take hold of enough assets to pay the debt. High-value real estate, particularly something like Mar-a-Lago, can fall into this category when simpler options, such as bank funds, investments, or smaller properties, fall short or cannot be reached. What makes this situation especially striking is who is involved. Donald Trump completed a full term as the 45th president, a role that has always come with certain distinctions, even years after leaving office. Still, federal laws include no special exception that protects former presidents, their relatives, or their personal holdings from normal collection procedures. The rules treat a retired company leader who misses a civil payment the same as a former national leader in the same position. This lack of unique protection provides the legal basis for the current worries. Should the unpaid sum reach a level that ordinary methods cannot cover, and if the court decides Mar-a-Lago counts as an eligible asset under the judgment, marshals would get the standard directions. Do what is required to gain control of the property so it can later be sold or handled to settle the debt. Talks like this have come up in the past in U.S. history, but never exactly like this. Earlier major civil penalties against well-known people have sometimes resulted in asset takeovers. Large homes, boats, business interests, but none centered on a place so tightly linked to a former president's image and political circle. Mar-a-Lago serves not just as a home base, but also as an exclusive club that brings in income, a spot for events, rallies, and fundraising, and a clear sign of ongoing connection for Trump's supporters. Any action that interrupts those functions would carry deep meaning well beyond the dollar amount of the penalty. Marshals, trained to handle matters carefully and quietly when feasible, must still record every detail, inform those affected, and work with local police if challenges or safety concerns come up. Even early planning for an operation like this would require property checks, risk evaluations, and setup details, which could draw notice from people nearby or through inside information. The lack of clear timing or exact triggers heightens the suspense. Court schedules can drag on with approved extensions, but once a final order comes down, the chance for willing payment shrinks fast. If marshals get the go-ahead, they focus on carrying out instructions. They do not discuss payment plans or accept late deals unless the court specifically allows it. Their job is to enforce, not to bargain. That straightforward duty explains why even early signs of marshal activity draw such close attention. The image of federal agents showing up at a former president's doorstep to collect on a civil debt questions deep-rooted ideas about how far accountability reaches for those who once led the country. If this plays out as some fear, with marshals carrying out a removal or seizure at Mar-a-Lago, it would stand as a unique chapter in America's history since World War II. No former president has ever dealt with federal officers physically enforcing a civil penalty right at their private home. The nearest examples come from much earlier times or very different settings. In the 1800s, enforcement sometimes reached important national figures, but those happened in a less organized legal world without today's layers of fair process, appeals, and open records. Since the mid-20th century, an unspoken practice of caution has held. Even during legal troubles for former presidents, inquiries, demands for records, or civil claims, the process usually wrapped up without direct clashes at a personal residence. This caution came from regard for the presidency and awareness that ex-presidents keep strong sway long after office. Direct action against a living former president could stir political tensions, shake public faith, and raise security issues with Secret Service involvement. Those factors carry weight, but they stay unofficial. They cannot override a proper court order supported by law. When a federal judge decides all other paths to payment are gone, and seizure is the practical next step, marshals have no choice to step back based on history or politics. No prior case stops the wheels. It just means the nation has not yet seen regular enforcement rules fully applied to someone who once directed the military and led foreign affairs. The unique nature comes from more than one person's role. It stems from a mix, a costly home and business property, a former president deeply involved in current politics, separate criminal and civil matters moving forward together, and a divided country where every update spreads instantly. Past generations often saw former presidents step back to calmer lives, writing books, speaking now and then, joining boards. Today's picture looks very different. This former president holds a huge audience, seeks another term, and uses Mar-a-Lago as both living quarters and key political center. Any marshal step there would affect not only private space, but an ongoing political effort. People from all views see the seriousness. Supporters of the legal actions would take confirmed involvement as proof that rank offers no lasting shield from the law. Critics would view it as the end result of repeated targeting through legal means against a rival. Both sides agree on one point. The event would mark new territory. Legal watchers, history experts, and scholars of the Constitution would quickly study it as a key example, questioning if our system's foundations can handle such strain without harming trust or authority. With no recent guide to follow, no set plan exists for how Secret Service, local officers, news crews, and citizens should respond when marshals arrive to enforce a civil directive at an ex-president's home. That missing plan adds to the feeling of stepping into unknown ground. The U.S. Marshals Service acts as the neutral federal body that puts court orders into practice, including property seizures and removals. It serves as the enforcement branch of the federal courts, following directives precisely without factoring in who is involved. Established in 1789, it is the longest-running federal law enforcement group and follows clear legal rules. When a judge issues a writ of execution or similar order for an unpaid civil amount, marshals identify seizable items, protect locations, move people out if approved, and oversee payment of the debt. Their work stays impartial on purpose. Officers do not judge the case's fairness, question motives, or weigh political effects. They carry out what the court requires. In real terms, this involves site checks, alerts to parties, teamwork with local forces, and, when needed, securing control of the site. No unwritten passes exist for notable people. The steps stay the same for everyday citizens or those with national standing. This fairness keeps the law running evenly once a final order takes effect. No special rules protect based on political background. Federal laws on collecting judgments and enforcement hold no clauses that guard former presidents, office holders, or public figures from standard steps. The idea of equal treatment under law means a civil penalty brings identical duties and results for all. After appeals end and deadlines pass without payment, courts can approve taking real estate, accounts, or other items no matter the owner. Mar-a-Lago, as a private estate linked to the debtor, sits in the same legal category as similar holdings. Long-standing habits of respect for ex-presidents never became formal law and cannot block a valid court command. This equal standing stands as a key part of American justice. No one stays forever out of reach from enforceable orders. The lack of exceptions shows why even the chance of martial action at such a visible spot holds major importance. It questions if unofficial customs hold up when strict legal tools activate fully. Mar-a-Lago stands out as Trump's top asset, a personal getaway, political base, and strong symbol. The property holds a special spot in Donald Trump's life. He has often described it as the standout piece among his holdings. Set on Palm Beach's Barrier Island in Florida, the 126-room estate covers 17 acres with direct ocean views, classic 1920s design, and wide grounds featuring a beach club, tennis areas, and large event spaces. Trump has called it his highest value item many times, placing its worth in the hundreds of millions while stressing its use as both a fine home and an income-producing private club. More than money, it acts as the main point for his political work since leaving office, hosting planning meetings, donor gatherings, campaign reveals, press talks, and big supporter events. Its impressive gates, broad lawns, and ornate rooms serve as quick visual markers for his style and following. This blend of private living and public platform raises the importance if legal collection ever reaches the property. Any break there would hit not only a house, but a living sign of power, ongoing presence, and resistance that many tie to Trump's lasting role in national life. The property's deeper meaning turns standard debt steps into something much larger. Special counsel Jack Smith's related inquiries add growing legal and money strain from several angles at once. Appointed in late 2022, Jack Smith directs parallel federal probes into separate but linked issues tied to Donald Trump. One focuses on the storage and keeping of classified records found at Mar-a-Lago after his term, including possible breaks of rules on defense materials and interference. Another tracks claims about attempts to contest or change the 2020 election results, covering steps in various states and federally. These matters create ongoing demands, turning over documents, meeting witnesses, grand jury sessions, legal filings, hearings, and pretrial work. Each path brings its own paperwork, timelines, information sharing, and costs like attorney fees, experts, and protection. When decisions favor the other side, denied requests to drop charges, forced statements, or unfavorable evidence calls, the combined impact tightens limits everywhere. Separate civil penalties from other suits, like defamation or business fines, run alongside and pile on unpaid duties that courts may push to collect soon. This multi-sided strain builds on its own, not depending on one result. The number of open cases, clashing dates, and rising requirements create steady pressure, closing options and lifting risks before any final rulings. The matter has shifted from talk and argument into the stage of possible forced action and execution. Developments have passed a key point where ideas and filings turn toward real steps. Once a federal judge delivers a final collectible order and delays or appeals close, the focus moves to following through rather than discussing terms. At that stage, debates over fairness, political aims, or deeper meaning cannot stop the process. The law changes from notice to requirement, and tools to fulfill it start working. This opens the door for marshals to get clear orders to find assets, control sites, or move people if needed to meet the judgment. The change happens methodically. Deadlines end, extensions close, and enforcement becomes the sole option. What began as legal arguments and court dates becomes practical work. Location reviews, agency teamwork, and setup for on-site action. This move shows the system has used up other choices and now applies its full power without pause. The simple chance of this step highlights how much the issue has moved from guesswork to near-certain duty. Backers see any move against Mar-a-Lago as aimed harassment. Those against view it as fair law for all. Responses to possible enforcement split clearly along familiar lines. Those who support the former president describe Marshall steps as the peak of a driven effort to embarrass and limit a strong figure. They claim the choice of timing, the focus on a key symbol, and the level of force suggest biased pursuit over even-handed justice. In their eyes, it amounts to misusing official tools to score points and interrupt a lively political effort. On the other hand, analysts and legal experts argue it shows American democracy's core strength. No one, however notable, gets lasting escape from legal duty. They note the penalties came from civil disagreements, followed normal steps, and reached this point only after full appeals. For them, moving forward with collection proves the law works without favor and upholds that position brings no shield. This deep divide raises the importance. Each update fuels one view or the other, widening splits as the legal process keeps moving. The result will show if high office still offers real cover or if justice now reaches all without fail. Possible enforcement at Mar-a-Lago questions the old belief that former presidents hold some built-in safeguard from complete legal results. For many years, even amid probes or civil claims, issues usually settled through deals, forgiveness, influence, or low-key fixes that skipped open clashes at homes. This unofficial layer came from honor for the role, worries about national calm, and knowledge that ex-leaders keep big pull after office. But if marshals carry out a removal or seizure here, it would prove those limits exist under law, not habit. The justice system would show it can handle a former leader the same as any debtor after all protections, reviews, sessions, and delays finish. This even treatment and enforcement would signal a major change. High position may bring honor, protection teams, and large stages, but it would no longer promise escape from strict court orders. The real measure is whether law's tools can run without bending to former status. Confirming accountability goes all the way up with no exceptions. Such a step would reshape views of power's edges in our democracy, proving court requirements hold firm no matter who they address. Around the world, how this unfolds will show if U.S. democratic bodies stay strong under heavy strain or hint at weakness. Actions around a former president's private estate draw quick global eyes since America presents itself as the main model of open rule, fair law, and lasting structures. Partners watch to see if basics, equal justice, free courts, smooth leadership changes, stand firm under peak tests. Competitors in closed systems look for cracks that could back their claims that free setups lead to disorder or self-destruction. If enforcement happens smoothly, with clear steps, open updates, and little upset, it strengthens the story of solid institutions that endure big challenges without failing. Financial circles, foreign offices, and world groups would read it as proof of deep strength, a system that holds leaders accountable while keeping balance. If instead it sparks broad disorder, counterattacks, or views of misused justice, it could signal cracks, hinting that divisions have worn down faith in neutral bodies. The worldwide message goes past legal details to bigger issues of endurance. Can the longest-running written constitution republic handle intense home pressures without sending waves of uncertainty through economies, partnerships, or encourage rivals overseas? From the steady role of the Marshal Service to the powerful image of Mar-a-Lago, from the steady build-up by Special Counsel Jack Smith to the basic question of whether any past role still grants true cover, every part we've covered tonight points to the same core. This goes beyond one person, one place, or one probe. It serves as a real-world check on whether America's rule of law holds equal at the toughest moments, whether our systems can carry such load without damage, and whether the world sees firmness or weakness in our response. The outcome will shape not just the coming years here, but send signals far outside our shores for a long time. This is the Jeff Desk. If tonight's coverage stirred you, prompted deep thought, concern, or even some optimism, take 2 steps now. Subscribe and enable alerts so you stay connected to what develops. Also, drop one word in the comments, equal if you feel the law should apply to everyone, or shield if you believe certain roles deserve ongoing protection. I review each one.